Out of the latest on the deadly helicopter crash today, dive teams will be back out on the water searching for remaining parts of the helicopter.
The family of 5 visiting from Spain and the pilot have been pronounced dead. The chopper took off from Lower Manhattan around 3 yesterday afternoon for a sightseeing tour. Cell phone video shows the helicopter turned upside down, crashing into the Hudson River near Jersey City. We're intentionally freezing the footage before the moment of impact. From another angle, you can see 2 large pieces of the helicopter spinning through the air before falling into the water. Rescue crews worked late into the night recovering pieces from the crash. Most of the wreckage has since been lifted from the water.
For the latest developments on this deadly crash, we have live team coverage all morning long. We start with our Christina Fan live in Lower Manhattan. Christina.
Well, Mary and Chris, like so many other tourists who visit our city, this family booked a sightseeing tour on a helicopter that departed from the Wall Street heliport, which is located right behind us, Thursday afternoon when something went catastrophically wrong about 18 minutes into their flight. You can see the family here just moments before they boarded that helicopter in a photo that was obtained by the New York Post from New York Helicopter Tours. The victims from Spain have been identified as Siemens executive Agustin Escobar, his wife, and their 3 young children, ages 4, 5, and 11. According to his LinkedIn profile, Escobar worked for the tech company Siemens for more than 27 years, most recently as global CEO for rail infrastructure. His wife, Merche Comprubi Montal, worked in a different division of the same company as a global manager. The Prime Minister of Spain has reacted to this tragic news, writing on the platform X, "I share in the grief of the victims' loved ones at this heartbreaking time." Now, radar data shows that the chopper flew north along Manhattan's skyline before turning south, headed towards the Statue of Liberty when this tragic crash happened. And the pilot, we're told, that was on board was also killed as a result. Reporting live from Lower Manhattan, Christina Fan, CBS News, New York.
Christina, thank you. And there are many unanswered questions this morning about how this tragic crash could have happened. Let's go now live to Christy Kalishian in Jersey City with the very latest on the investigation. Christy, we're going to be getting an update from officials at some point today, correct?
That's right, Chris. We're not sure exactly when. Once we know, we will absolutely let you know. And you can see over my right shoulder there, those NYPD boats there, dive teams here searching. And actually, as things lighten up a little bit this morning, we are seeing a few more of these boats with these blue lights here on the Hudson. And as you mentioned, we are hearing from the NTSB and the FAA later on today at a briefing. We are not sure when that will be. We will let you know. But for now, here is what we do know.
In the water has been river on the Jersey side.
911 calls made at around 3:15 Thursday afternoon, just under 20 minutes after takeoff from a skyport in downtown Manhattan. Cell phone video here shows the sightseeing helicopter descending upside down into the Hudson River.
At 3:08 p.m., the helicopter reached the George Washington Bridge and then turned again to fly south along the New Jersey shoreline. Shortly thereafter, the aircraft lost control and hit the water just a few feet off the coast of Pier A Park in Hoboken.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy posted on social media that at the time of the crash that killed all 6 on board, the helicopter was not getting air traffic support because it was in a special flight rules area. The tour helicopter is owned by Louisiana-based Meridian Helicopters, which sells, leases, and refurbishes helicopters. Witnesses say the aircraft's propeller blades were already detached by the time it landed in the water. What led to the crash is still being investigated.
When an emergency like this happens and strikes, this team responds with expert speed and professionalism.
So much of the helicopter was actually removed from the water last night, and as you can see, those dive teams are still out here searching for whatever else they can find. So that investigation is very active right now. But in terms of what may have caused that helicopter to fall apart midair, that is also under investigation. Live in Jersey City, Christy Kalishian, CBS News, New York.
Christy, thank you. We're learning now about the helicopter company involved in this tragic crash. The Bell 206 was operated by New York Helicopter. CEO Michael Roth tells us they've been in business for 28 years. Roth posted this video of the chopper on Facebook last year. He says New York Helicopter leased the aircraft from a Louisiana-based company called Meridian Helicopters.
I don't know anything how this went down. The only thing I could tell you, we are devastated. My wife hasn't stopped crying since this afternoon. You know, we're a small company. I'm a father and a grandfather, and we're just devastated.
Roth would not discuss how frequently the helicopter was inspected, but says the company follows all the rules and more. NTSB records show the only other accident involving New York helicopter was a hard landing in 2015. It happened with a different chopper, which was also leased from Meridian. The NTSB blamed that incident on a faulty part. Joining me now is the founder of the Resolve Marine Group, Captain Joe Farrell. Good to talk to you this morning.
Good morning.
And we're expecting divers to return to the scene today. You have experience recovering aircraft that have crashed into oceans and rivers before. Can you give us an idea of, at this stage, what the divers are looking for and how will the conditions impact the search?
Well, they're going to be looking for anything and everything, you know, from the aircraft parts to obviously personal belongings. But right now, they're, you know, the visibility in the Hudson is not very good. So a lot of this is by feel. You probably got 2 or 3 feet of visibility there. But basically, you know, we've got a lot of experience. My son runs the company now, but we've been rescued aircraft from, recovered them from Alaska, Black Hawk helicopters, Gulf of Mexico. As a matter of fact, Resolve recently removed the ship that knocked the Baltimore Bridge down. Got a fair amount of experience with NTSB investigations. We recovered the value jet in the Florida Everglades some years back as well.
You know, in this case, most of the helicopter has been pulled from the water. What happens now, and what will investigators be looking for among that wreckage?
Well, really everything. We don't know what happened. Everyone we saw what a catastrophic failure it was of the fuselage. Actually, the tail rotor looked like it was just attached from the main aircraft. Normally, helicopters are very safe. You know, there's usually twin engine on top of that. You can auto-rotate them if you lose all power. So they're very safe. So something like that, a catastrophic failure, honestly, they never really had a chance. The investigation itself will be so thorough. It's wonderful, the forensic they can have now. You know, they'll be looking at everything. They'll be looking at history of aircraft. Certain parts will have a life cycle. Parts on the rotor, so the rotor attached to the rotor mast. Those bolts at a certain hours will be discarded, and so they'll go through everything. You know, we were just amazed, like I mentioned the other night, the value jet when we did that. Gee willikers, they could tell us everything about that aircraft after, and that thing was in millions of pieces. It's really wonderful what they are able to do. They'll look for everything now. We assuming, you know, they'll look at what is it, pilot error. Who knows? But it doesn't look like that. It's hard to say. I hate speculating on, you know.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you, in your experience, I mean, have you heard of something like this where the propeller just detaches mid-air like that?
You know, I don't recall seeing that. To be honest with you, I haven't seen that. You know, I did a little time in Vietnam. We had lots of helicopters, but I really never saw a blade come off of a rotor mast like that. If that's what happened, you know. For that catastrophic failure, my assumption is, and that's not a good word if you have to spell it out, is that a rotor blade may have been what really took off the tail, the rotor fuselage. You know, that's what it looks like. I have no idea. Again, NTSB will be looking forensically for any explosive residues as well, you know?
Oh, certainly. How long might an investigation like this take to give them some answers?
Well, it'll for a full report to see everything, it could be upwards of a year. The guys internally may have a hunch. If they can see a shared, if it was a rotor, main rotor, they could see a shared boat, which would not be something that would have happened during the accident. I'm sorry, after the accident happened. In other words, if it was a rotor, they'll see how that stressed and sheared off, which wouldn't have changed anything with the crash. So, but they'll go through every nut and bolt. And if anyone finds anything, you know, take a picture of it if you guys or people would, and send it to the, I guess 911 is the best place to call, because these can all help in the investigation. It might seem nothing of importance on the side of the river, but it could be something from the airplane that could help, the aircraft that could help them.
Captain Joe Farrell, founder of the Resolve Marine Group, we thank you very much for your time and your insight.
Well, thank you. Have a good day. And our prayers are with the family and the souls of the lost. Please.
Certainly are.
This video shows the moment the helicopter tumbled out of the sky and crashed right there into the water. The main body of the aircraft was recovered from the river. You see it there, detached from the tail and the chopper blades. A search for those pieces is underway. Let's bring in CBS News correspondent Lilia Luciano, who's following this story for us close to where the chopper went down. Lilia, it's a heartbreaking story, especially considering who was on board. What are we learning about the victims of the crash?
That was devastating, Errol. This was a family from Spain. The father is the president of the Spanish Siemens company branch. He was there with his wife and his 3 children. According to WCBS, the children's ages were 11, 4, and 5, or approximately. The chopper went down at around 3:15 p.m. The calls to 911 started coming in immediately. Witnesses said that they heard a loud boom and then started seeing parts, as you mentioned, of the helicopter coming apart in midair before it crashed right behind where we are into the water. Authorities showed up right away. The NYPD and the NYFD showed up. We saw the divers coming back, and the bodies were recovered very quickly after, within the first few hours, and they declared 4 of the people deceased there. When they recovered the bodies, 2 were taken to hospitals, but of course ultimately died.
And Lilia, I know that for you, like me, we live close to where these helicopter tours take place. It's something that if you have the means, dozens of tourists to New York will take part in. And this was a tour flight with the company New York Helicopters. So how is it responding to this disaster?
Well, New York Helicopter does many tours. It's been working, or at least the CEO has been doing this for over 30 years. CBS News spoke with him, and he said, of course, he was devastated by the deadly crash. They asked him, CBS News, we asked him whether it had been recently or how often it had been serviced or maintained, and he said, we follow all the rules and more. There's still, of course, not just federal, but local investigators looking into, and we're expected to hear from the NTSB later today, looking into what caused it. But it was so bizarre to see in the videos, and that's what witnesses said too, that it seemed like the tail boom, like parts, as you said, of the rotor blades came apart. Obviously, I know nothing about the engineering of helicopters, but I am very curious to know how that happens. It doesn't seem like it crashed into anything up in the air, and that is something that has come up before. We heard from lawmakers yesterday who said, we have been talking about this, there's too much traffic, especially when it comes to those leisure flights, too much traffic around Manhattan, over the rivers. There are, as you know, there's companies here that take you to the airport in a few minutes. There's those tourist tours. There's just a lot of helicopters that we see up in the air, but it doesn't seem like at this point, from what we've seen, it was any kind of crash midair. We're waiting to hear what federal investigators will say about that.
All right, we appreciate the update. Lilia Luciano, thank you.